Well, we have arrived, my friends. We have to ask the big question. What is the meaning of life? That's not true. But we do have to switch to another one. Because, man, this may very well be the best version of The Rock ever. Now, it's always a little bit silly when people do say that, hence why I would say it. But it's only going to be the best version of The Rock ever because of the past versions we've had of The Rock. To get here, we needed them too. So ipso facto, they're all the best versions of The Rock. But in case you haven't seen Monday Night Raw, essentially The Rock just turned up with no advertising whatsoever, which is my favorite thing. I don't have to worry about ratings or money or revenue or anything like that. He whispered something to Cody, which after a while you could figure out was, "Tonight I'm gonna make you bleed," like he was the Predator or something when Cody was brawling with the Bloodline, who of course were at Raw, because they're always at Raw, no one tries to stop them, and Dwayne Johnson kicked the crap out of the American Nightmare to the point he threw him into the Nightmare bus. He had blood all over his face, and he got that blood. He rubbed it on a weight belt while going, Mama Rhodes, and he dropped the F-bomb a lot. Now, there are a few people saying, oh man, he swore too much. Screw that. Continue swearing. I love me some expletives in wrestling. I'm 7. And of course, people like to say, well, The Rock gets things that other people don't get. I'm not in the company. I'm not going to worry about politics. There's enough of that in the real world. But I just thought the way that all of this came together was absolutely fantastic. It is easily one of the best go-home angles Raw has done for some old time. And it's all just a shame. There's 2 shames, right? We'll talk about them. We'll get them out of the way. The first shame is that this wasn't the go-home episode to WrestleMania, because what the flub are they going to do next week? And the other shame is that WrestleMania, we're not doing The Rock versus Cody Rhodes. You've got to do that match. Like, there is no way, I mean, they could double cross us, but I don't see how they would be able to do that. But there is no way you can now go, oh, me and The Rock were in cahoots. I'd be like, Cody, he busted you open. Now we have to go all the way with this. To the point, I promised myself I would talk about this later. I'm going to talk about it now because I am that kind of a dude. We should really have The Rock kick out Roman Reigns of the Bloodline. He takes over the group, and then Roman turns babyface. That's what I think we should do. And at one point, I think The Rock should win the World Championship. That is how much I'm enjoying this character, because there's the word, right? It just suits this persona. And I think maybe one of the reasons I am enjoying it to such a degree is because it's just an eye-opener that when it comes to whoever The Rock or the People's Champ or the Corporate Champ or the most electrifying man, he should be a bad guy. Doesn't matter if he gets cheers anyway, because he is so entertaining and he cuts funny promos. Making sure you lean that way, so there is a little bit of an edge, not Adam Copeland, he went to AEW, and ironically, it does have a bunch of attitude, just makes it so damn larger than life, to the point, and again, what do I know about anything? Absolutely nothing. I don't know what movies The Rock has lined up, but I'd start going, can I be the supervillain, please? Because if you take these attributes and you put it in a film, I think it's going to work just as well. In fact, it's so good, it's something you should go out of your way to see, because it really does just build up, well, the momentum for a match that moment isn't happening, but we are going to get the tag team match. And the little Easter eggs that WWE have put into this, I mean, someone even said, well, are we going to do The Rock versus Cody Rhodes in a strap match? Hence all this belt talk. Now, I can't see a world where we do that, because you want to do it the right way. So the risk is going to increase, which may make it impossible for Dwayne Johnson, who has to go and film all these movies. But at one point when they were brawling in the rain makes everything better. There was a WWE production truck in the background. On that production truck, there was a picture of John Cena, and there was a picture of Stone Cold Steve Austin. Now, of course, WWE has a bunch of these, but as the internet sleuths did find out, at the moment, the ones that WWE are rolling around in are mostly WrestleMania branded. So I don't think this was an accident. Now, there's been rumors out there too that John Cena and Steve Austin may be involved at WrestleMania 14. So I tell you this, if we are going to overbook that Night 2 WrestleMania main event, because it is Bloodline rules, and you get The Rock coming in there, you get the Bloodline coming in there, we should add some new members of the Bloodline in there too, so Tama Tonga, whoever else you may have signed, and then John Cena comes out to get his revenge on Solo Sikoa, which would make sense, and then Stone Cold Steve Austin comes out to get his always revenge on The Rock. I'm going to lose my brain. And I tweeted this at Simon316, come give me a follow for the most positive, disgusting tweets you're ever going to see in your life. I don't care if it makes sense. I don't care if it's overbooked. I will lose my damn mind. As I've already said, I'll say it twice, I'll say it thrice. Because honestly, and I get this always sounds weird when I say this, but sometimes it is just the way I think about things. I'm going to be dead one day, right? I'm going to be dead. I'm going to be on my deathbed. I'm going to be freaking out because who the hell knows what's going to happen. So just give me as much entertaining as possible. And when I'm sat there in that Philadelphia crowd and all this commotion is going on, I'm like, who the hell is going to win this? Then we get instantly, you're going to get the rush. But if you then get the glass heartbreaking when The Rock is about to do something. I'm going to be 8 years old again, and I'm going to be crying my eyes out. I think I'll be so overcome with emotion, I will actually cry my eyes out. And these are the things that I want to feel. I don't want to sit there and go, well, it doesn't make sense because last time when they saw each other at WrestleMania 19, they were friends. I'll give a flub about Wrestle 19. I give a flub about WrestleMania 40. Now, it could have just been a nice wink, wink, nudge, nudge, which I'm also fine with. Red herrings do serve their purpose when it comes to entertainment, but I would do that now, and I would have it as someone replied to my tweet on Twitter, and they said, oh, you want a send everyone scenario? I was like, that's what I want. I want a send everyone scenario. But even if we don't do that, you should really go and check out this last segment on Monday Night Raw. The Rock has become the Thanos. He calls himself the final boss, so I suppose that does make sense. But it's just fun and it's entertaining. And let's not look over Cody in all of this. Cody is great at being sympathetic and Cody is great at being a real guy. So when someone does do this to him, you're like, oh my gosh, he bludgeoned our boy. What the hell do we do next? And as a quick aside, I mean, Dustin Rhodes is a smart old guy. So even if it's not possible, even he tweets out after stuff like this, you son of a ditch. Imagine he turned up as well. You'd have to get some sort of amazing relationship between AEW and WWE. And I understand if AEW didn't want to do that. Like, we have contracts for a reason, and Tony Khan doesn't owe us anything. But from a pure fandom perspective, it really would be the icing on the cake. But when you also tie it into the CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, and Seth Rollins segment, all of these matches now just feel amazing because we do have these crossovers and we have storylines going over here, there. We're crossing the streams. The Ghostbusters told us not to do it, but in this case, they were wrong. I gave the Raw overall a golden up on ups and downs of What Culture. Make sure you check it out. But the reason for that is because there was 3 amazing talking segments on this, and the matches were all good as well, that really got me excited for WrestleMania, which was the idea. And arguably the highlight was this one with CM Punk. He went off. Drew has just built this armor now where he totally understands who he is as a character. There's nothing you can say to him that he won't be ready to sort of smack back at you. And I like Seth Rollins too. I do. That Seth Rollins is so underrated in all of this. It doesn't work without what Seth Rollins is doing. He has this, I don't want to say higher than high sort of swagger to him. That's not fair because I still think he comes across like a good guy. But he almost feels like the dad situation filled with kids. I guess you could probably describe it as the straight man when you're doing a comedic act and he's a straight guy, the other guy's the comedic guy. But you need all of these elements, and everyone said at least one line. I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, Punk had loads. Punk was trying to go Drew McIntyre to say the name of the person that called him the chosen one. I was dying. I was like, please, I don't want to go down this pathway. Drew had that amazing line when he said, you don't drink or do drugs, but you're always in rehab. And Seth Rollins just comes out and says, I just think you're an idiot. I just think you're a moron. I hate you so damn much. And because he says it with so much passion, it's probably true. But if somebody walked in here right now and did the whole, oh, I don't think wrestling is real, I would show them this. Because it sounded like 3 dudes that hate each other, and the end result is CM Punk is going to be the guest commentator for WrestleMania 40. And it's a wonderful device because now I don't know who's going to win, because CM Punk doesn't care if Seth Rollins holds on to that championship. He certainly doesn't care if Drew McIntyre does. I still think Drew McIntyre should win. I think it's a missed opportunity if we don't do that. But how does CM Punk get involved? Does he get involved? Is it a ruse? Is it now disappointing if he doesn't cast a distraction using all his MP? I like the fact that we get to ask these questions as long as the payoff is something where we can watch and go, boy, hey, that makes me feel warm and fuzzy in my tum-tum. So you take all of that and then you move on to Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch. I also thought they had a good back and forth. I mean, if we were really going to be nerds about this, maybe it didn't hit the levels of other ones, but that's because they didn't have the real situations they were able to discuss. For example, Drew McIntyre going to Mindy's Bakery before Raw in Chicago. They don't have that kind of wrestling internet lore to rely on, but they did mention all the social media stuff with Rhea Ripley's stink face, I guess we're calling it, which was very funny, and why house shows can never go away. I thought Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax were fantastic in that too. But she also brought in, I guess, their real life situation is when Rhea Ripley brought up Becky Lynch's kid. She was like, don't talk about my kid. My father passed away before he was able to meet his granddaughter, so there isn't a game to me. And I like the fact that they brawled, and I like the fact that The Rock kicked Cody Rhodes' ass as well. We are 2 weeks away. We don't need to see people chatting anymore. I think sometimes you can allow 2 performers to interact in that way a little bit too early, and maybe if The Rock and Cody had done it in the ring, it wouldn't have worked as well. But Rhea and Becky have tangled before. It's not like we don't know where this is going. So when they did start brawling, but they had the almost, I don't know what you'd call it, the comedic asterisks of Dominic, who kept getting thumped in the face, and you definitely need to go and watch that slow motion punch that Becky gives him, because oh my gosh, she just whacks him. That also gave it something more, where I was so entertained by it, it got me more excited for the match. And Becky actually did an interview recently where she said she'd like to be first out, number 1, WrestleMania Night 1. Yeah, let's do that. Let's get the fans fired up, because I don't know whether it's going to be able to surpass Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte Flair, which I think is an underrated gem. But I think they can match those levels, and that's okay, because that's one of the best matches in recent WWE history, so you're not going to get mad at that. You also had Ricochet versus JD McDonough, which was also just a great way to showcase wrestling talent. Everything the New Day and DIY and the Judgment Day and whoever else was out there was good. R-Truth makes me laugh, so that makes me happy too. I like it. I'm not saying this in a bad way. The Gunther, Sami Zayn, and Chad Gable storyline irked me, but in the way that it was meant to. Because Chad was all like, man, you let him get in your head. That's why you lost to Bronson Reed, because of course Sami Zayn did after Gunther distracted. I was like, Gable, you are part of this problem. You got in his head last week too when you were being a negative Nancy, but now you want to be a positive Pete. But I suppose this will be and it makes perfect sense, right? As we are going to be in Philadelphia, somebody was always going to be the person to step into Rocky's shoes. You may as well tell that story. And Sami Zayn not literally, figuratively, or his nickname is the underdog from the underground. So I would do everything with the steps. I'd go to the Rocky statue. I'd be completely shameless and transparent with this, because I think that way it will be easier to digest as the audience. But it does make me raise my eyebrow about Chad Gable. Now, I don't think we need a heel turn from Chad, but maybe we can have something where we kind of shift it across a little bit when we do get to everything past WrestleMania, if Sami Zayn does win, and then we can do that feud. And as far as I'm concerned, Gunther goes into the main event scene. You can lose an Intercontinental Championship after 600 days or whatever the hell it's been, and you're still more than welcome, as far as I'm concerned, to be moved up into the upper echelon. So yeah, once again, just fantastic stuff all around. I thought it was an amazing Raw. It didn't feel like 3 hours, which is absolutely a rarity. You have to see Cody's opening promo where he just, was unashamedly himself, which makes me love him anymore. You got to see everything The Rock does as he just tries to kill this man. Said this on What Culture Wrestling Ups and Downs again. It was essentially, he went, oh, I know how we can do The Rock and Roman Reigns. I just murder this guy. If he's dead, he's not going to be able to wrestle. Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch, just planting those seeds and making sure you care about that championship. And the CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins stuff. I have gone over that way too quickly. There were so many lines in it. You're like, are we actually doing this? And they were dropping swear words. Now, some people are like, oh, I bet Triple H yelled at them when they got backstage. I'm pretty sure they've been given a little bit of a leash, especially now that they're moving towards Netflix. I would hazard a guess, and again, what do I know? Absolutely nothing. It's my catchphrase. But when they do move to Netflix, because you can be a little bit more fruity, is that the right word, with age ratings, you probably will get this kind of a product. Now, you don't want to do this all of the time because it is the law of diminishing returns, but having it in the back of your head and just presenting it sometimes as a more adult show, I suppose, that isn't alienating to kids because you don't want to chase away that audience, it just makes it so much better. And I think that's the reason, or at least one of the reasons, people are talking about the ending to the degree that they are. It's not that, oh, it felt like 99 Attitude Era. It certainly did, right? We pulled things from there, but it was also gritty, and it was real, and it was hard hitting. And again, if you are an old man like me, I'm not saying that we're ever ashamed of wrestling, but sometimes it is a bit like, honk, grab the clown nose. But this one wasn't like that at all. You could show this to anybody and they'd be like, oh my gosh. And this Rock character is a total goober. Like, he's a total fruit. I'm not 100% sure that Cody Rhodes is going to win at WrestleMania 40 now ever. Just because there's this idea I have in my head when it's actually somehow The Rock screws over Roman Reigns. Although if he does that, then, I don't know. I don't know what we're going to do. I just got this bee in my bonnet that maybe we're going to wait till SummerSlam, which I do think is a risk, by the way, and based on nothing but my own stupid brain. But I don't know. I don't know what The Rock's going to do anymore. I'd convinced myself once, shows what I know when it comes to speculation, that, we were going to do the, I was a mole in the bloodline. You can't do that now. It'd be too silly Billy. So maybe there is something where The Rock helps Roman and then turns on Roman, then we get to SummerSlam. I don't know. I wouldn't do that. I think Cody Rhodes has to win at WrestleMania 40, and then you get away with the overbookingness as well, because we end with the site that we want to see. But we'll have to hold fire, and we're going to have to figure out when to do Cody versus The Rock. I mean, there is a world, right? I don't think I'm against this at all, where Cody wins at WrestleMania 40, and the SummerSlam match is The Rock versus Cody Rhodes. The Rock wins the championship there, and then he defends against Roman Reigns at some place. Now, I don't know if his schedule will allow for something like that. I don't know if I want Cody to lose that way, but I am very, very pleased that we are now living in a world where we can make a crazy fantasy booking plan like that. And it's not like, Simon, do you know how much has to happen for that to go down? Not a lot. Is the answer. The Rock is basically a weekly character on TV, and he's absolutely killing it. So yes, fantastic Raw, potentially the best version of The Rock we've ever had, based on the other versions that we've had in the past as well, and maybe the first hint that John Cena and Stone Cold Steve Austin are going to get involved in the Bloodline angle. And like I'd say, I throw Tama Tonga in there as well. There's probably some other people I'm not thinking about. Let's totally rejuvenate the bloodline. They don't need to go away forever. Roman Reigns to lose his championship, and I think long-term Roman Reigns should now shift across to being a babyface because it gives him more people to feud with, and people do love him anyway, despite what they may say. But the bloodline doesn't need to go away, especially if The Rock is going to be hanging around. We can almost do a reverse nation. Oh, it wouldn't be the reverse nation, it'd be exactly the same. When The Rock joins it and he kicks out the leader and he takes over. And given that a lot of this has been a nostalgia run anyway, maybe we just hit the beats. But couple of thumbs up for me. A fantastic Raw. Definitely one that should go in for the books, and definitely one that you should see. Now, of course, please do like the video, share the video, and subscribe to the bell ding ding notification gang. Click the video on the screen. It will be me ranting and raving about wrestling. Of course, it will be. People keep asking me for merchandise, which I appreciate. It's just prowrestlingtees.com/Simon Miller. Buy one and wear it to WrestleMania. That will make my day. I also have fitness shirts at Samson Athletics, and I'm also on GorillaMind.com/Simon. Use code Simon to get 10% off. I'm into my fitness, and you'll be into this stuff too. I'm confident of it. Patreon.com/Simon316, and then Simon316 on Instagram and Twitter. Simon J. Miller on a TikTok. Simon Miller on Cameo. I think that's everything. I say it so fast. I say everything is so fast. Probably need to calm down, but I'm pumped and I'm ready for professional wrestling. Plug me in, Jack, because I'm good to go.